All right. Let's go ahead and give yourself another round of applause. You did a great job. We're learning a lot here. We're staying focused. And we're moving on to a lot easier subject right now, just to kind of cool things down at the end of our chapter 1. This is install peripheral devices. So I'm sure everybody in here has had a chance to install some type of device. Usually it's a printer, or you're just putting a keyboard or something connecting to the machine. So a human interface device, HIDS, is any type of peripheral that enables a user to enter data and selected commands to a computer. This is going to be the most common one you're ever going to use is keyboards. Keyboards, since computers have been developed, and have always been the number one input device. So every time we go to create documents or do whatever, we're typing it out on a keyboard. Keyboards can have different functions, right? You can buy keyboards with all kinds of different functions. They can be extended where they have their own number pad, as you can see on the left, or they can be more ergonomic, where you can see on the right, this is to help you with carpal tunnel so you don't bang up your wrist while you're doing your job. A fun fact about keyboards, and this is all the way back when typewriters were invented. I used to ask myself, why are the keys not in alphabetical order on the keyboard? I mean, I hate it because I'm a slow typer. You know why they're not A, B, C, D, E, F, G all the way across in a line? This is going to be shocking. It was to slow down people typing. When the first typewriters were invented and they were using the little pins, they were getting all smashed together because people were typing so fast. Look it up. So what they did is they mixed up the actual buttons on the board, which actually is a de facto standard now, and it was literally to slow down the typing speed of the first iterations of typewriters so that they actually properly functioned. And now I got to learn where all these keys are in the keyboard, which, I have over the years, but I always thought that was really neat. All right, moving on. When we go to the keyboards, we may have to make some changes or setting changes for the users. And that's going to be under settings. You would go Start, Windows, Settings. When you go in there, you're going to go to your devices and you're going to go to your keyboard. And then you can say, hey, this keyboard needs United Kingdom, UK type layout. So it's going to be a little different in the United States. We're all speaking English, but different versions, right? Or you may just want different types of styles for your keyboard that you can make selections here. You can also make little type of changes, like you may be someone who constantly hits a key more than once quickly, and they have settings that actually help with that. Pointing devices. Like I'm pointing at you right now. Pointing devices, that's the second most popular input device, is actually a mouse. A mouse. The mouse was invented from an actual employee of the Xerox company. He created this thing, and because you are an employee of a big company like Xerox, they own your idea. So he went into the CEO, he said, hey, I got this idea. I'm going to call this thing a mouse. And this is how everybody's going to point and click when there really wasn't too many operating systems doing this, maybe 3.1 at the time. And that's how they're going to select information. And the guy looked at him and said, nobody's going to do that. Nobody wants that thing. And he said, are you going to release me and I'm able to do this for other, and he said, get out of my office. You can do whatever you want with that. Boom goes the mouse. Now he patented it and he's a probably billionaire. So, don't worry about all the time what your boss says. You can figure these things out on yourself. All right. A pointing device. A peripheral used to move a cursor to select or manipulate objects on a screen. We can use a joystick. We can use a touchpad. We can use a mouse. KVM. Now, this may be new if you're not already in the IT industry. KVM is keyboard, video, and mouse. When I was the network administrator for the school in Florida, I had about 6 servers. 6 servers. I do not want 6 monitors, 6 keyboards, and 6 mouse to control 6 machines. That makes no sense. So these KVM switches are going to be commonly used in networking and LAN, local area network operating centers. So I can control a bunch of different physical devices. I plug all them videos into the back of these KVM switches because they have a lot of different ports for you, let's say HDMI ports. And then it goes out to 1 or 2 maybe keyboards and mouse to control 8 physical machines. Now, how do I get from one machine to the other? I simply have a little section or button. I hit it and it brings me to whatever machine I want to look at that time on my displays. So this really cuts down on the amount of equipment you have to buy and just really allows you to keep a more efficient workspace. Here's another type of input device, and this is for security. So biometric authentication, this is really cool stuff, right? We've been using this. Now it's becoming more common every day. What types do we have? Excuse me. We have retina patterns. Put your eye up there. You put your eye up there, you're going to read your retina pattern. That's going to unlock you. Fingerprints. Here's one that most people do not remember or ever talk about, and that's voice. Voice recognition is just as distinguishable as a fingerprint. Even your walk pattern. I learned that your walk pattern is just as distinguishing as a fingerprint. The way the pressure on my feet rotate off my foot is completely different than anybody else's foot as they walk. So there's all kinds of things you can use. We also have smart card readers. So we could use a smart card reader would be some type of card with a chip that we have to place into our computer, and then we add our password. This is also considered two-factor authentication because I'm using a password, something I know, and I'm using a smart card, something I have. 2 forms of authentication, 2FA. We'll see that in later chapters. So when we do this, magnetic strip and chip readers. Here is the machine that's doing the wireless pay. So this communication that's happening is NFC. What is NFC again? Near field communication. That is right, Dan. Way to go. Touchdown. All right. And then people say, well, how safe is that? You have to be millimeters away from the device. So even that they're showing you is not really correct. You have to be very close for NFC to work. And if someone's that close to me, I'm going to feel them breathing on me, I hope. I hope they can't get that close to me without knowing. That would be pretty scary. All right. Other input devices, signature pad. This is also a biometric mechanism people forget. Your signature pad used with a database to approve your signature. So what they'll do is they'll get an original copy of you writing your name. They'll keep that in a database. And every time you go to use your signature, it will be compared to the database signature. If it's, they give you a little leadway, but it has to be equated correctly or it denies your ability to get into that device or ATM or whatever you're using. All right, now plug and play, plug and pray. That's what it used to be called. When it first came out, like around 1995, Windows 95, you'd plug in a device and you go, oh my God, I hope it works. And then it wouldn't. Or it would. Most of the time it wouldn't. But that's because when you plug in a device, plug and play, Windows, almighty Microsoft, they have a entire folder structure, and I'll show you in the software, a entire folder structure that has drivers in it already. So for your most common devices, Microsoft already has the driver. How do they get that driver? Well, everybody who makes the devices, each individual company runs the Microsoft and goes, please put this in. Please put this in your Windows updates. Make sure this is in new Windows 11. So when people buy something off the shelf and they plug it into a Windows system, it's automatically going to detect it and it's going to be all smiles and cream puffs. And that's what they want, because what happens when a non-IT guy grabs something and plugs it in and it does does not work. They go, oh, this thing's broke. It's not broke. They need to put the driver in it. They have no idea what a driver is. That's okay because they're not IT people. That's why you're getting hired, my friends. So just a little background on what plug and play is doing. All right, installation and configuration considerations. Whew, that's a mouthful. Say that 3 times. So what are we doing after we do the installation? Some of the things when we're installing them, they may be hot swappable. Hot swappable means I'm able to add the device or remove the device while the machine is still running. I don't have to power it down to plug it in and then power it back up for it to identify it. That's another big part of plug and play. Drivers might need to be installed or updated. Every device, every distinguishable device has from its manufacturer who created it, a specific device driver. Now, don't get this confused with programs. It has nothing to do with Windows, like Word and Microsoft Office. It's not a program you install. It's a small little bit of code developed by the manufacturer that allows that device to interact with the version of Windows operating system you're using, or the Mac operating system you're using, or the Linux operating, whatever. That's what it does. And we're gonna learn that and a lot more. We're gonna see it throughout the entire course. So we'll go over that in just a little bit. So after you're done installing a new device, the first thing you want to go is jump into Device Manager. This is an application inside of all Windows operating systems that allow you to view device drivers and how that device is working. It literally tells you, hey, this thing's working or it's not. We can also see control panel, Windows settings, and vendor software can all be used to configure the device after we physically plug it in or install it.